How about now? How about now? Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the annual meeting. Glad you were able to join us. So, those of you who don't know me, I'm Tim McGee. I'm the moderator, and I would like to officially welcome you to the annual meeting for the First Parish Church Congregational Church. I'm mumbling. All right, can you hear? How about now? Okay. So the first order is we have to have a quorum, which we believe is 54. So if all members could raise your hand. Sue, do you mind doing a quick count? And a couple of you could raise both hands, that would help. Good. We have a quorum. Your participation ends now. I'll say what? 54 plus. Okay. So Marianne Cook, who is the clerk, is in Florida, so I'll be taking notes, and I think Tom is going to read her report. So the first order is Tom Kircher, Vice Moderator, will read the clerk's report.
Good morning, First Parish Church. I'm standing in for Marianne to read the clerk's report for 2024. I'll read the 50-plus year members, and then I will read the member deaths and ask for a moment of silence in respect and memory for those members that passed last year. 50-plus year members: Kathy Belergeron, Susan Burgess, L. Daniel Dearborn, Joe Dearborn, Coraline Garland, Ann Caney, Kathy Angel Lee, Beverly Loring, Carol Nero, Harry Nielsen, Linda Simonson, and Marie Warner. And we lost 3 members in 2024. William A. Conlon, Catherine Lund, and Anthony Nero. Can we just take a brief moment in respect and memory? Thank you.
So one thing I forgot to do is have Scott open with a prayer. So Scott, would you mind closing with a prayer?
I can do that.
See how flexible he is? All right. The next item is to approve the minutes from last year's meeting. Does anybody need any time to review them? Good. I need a motion to approve. A second? All in favor? Anybody against? I don't see any against. Okay, it's passed. And next thing is to receive the report of the clerk. Again, motion to approve. Second? Second. All in favor? We passed. Very good. Okay, now, the next is the financial reports. So I think Charlie is going to come review the financial reports for us.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Unfortunately, I wasn't here last year when they kind of voted me in. So everyone here, you're safe. So 2024, I didn't put together the budget. I kind of inherited the budget. And so there's one misleading thing that I want to kind of call out as we go through it. But 2024, we ended very well. We're up $34,000 in cash over where we were a year ago, which is wonderful. Income was up $18,801 over budget. Now, this is where we get a little wonky. So in the insurance money that we expected due to the damage of the building, we had both an income line, and we anticipated, I believe, $75,000 of income, and we had another, I think, $65,000 that was out in expenses. Throws all the numbers off. So I have to report everything against the budget. That's the correct way to do it, but some of the verbal will be kind of excluding those numbers because they throw everything off. So we were up $18,800 over the expected income, but it's effectively $93,000 because of this money that was not realized from in the budget. From the insurance money. Since we never saw it, the budget is basically off. So we actually picked up a lot more because it not only covered the money that we didn't receive from insurance, but we went above that. Loose cash and checks exceeded 70,000 exceeded the budget by 34. So basically it was a really good year. It was not necessarily pledge money that got us there, but the loose cash came in over the top and basically made things much better. Expenses. So again, this is where the insurance expenses kind of throw things off, but we were nominally 54,000 under budget, so underspent, which is good. But when you start layering in that kind of wonky insurance thing, we're actually about $4,000 overspent for the year, which is really, really, really close, especially in light of the fact that we were above in income. So the surplus and the deficit, we had a kind of nominal surplus of 27 versus a budgeted deficit of 47. So we not only made up a budgeted deficit, but we went into the positive. So the positive total change was 74,000. So all in all, a good year, solid year. A lot of uncertainty in the year, and I think the thing as treasurer, and I've been treasurer of multiple churches in the past, but the thing as kind of an experienced church treasurer is that spending was very close to budget. That doesn't always happen, and that's kind of a gift. Are there any questions? That's awesome.
Okay, next I'm going to have Allison DiMatteo come up and talk about investments.
Good morning, everyone. So I'll be quick with the investment team report. Lynn Solinsky is the chair of the investment team. She is also in Florida right now, so I said I would present the report. 2024 was a good year. It was very similar to 2023. So what you can see when you look at the available interest for next year that's available to teams from our legacy funds is it's very, very close to what we had in the prior year. Some teams spent all of their legacy monies last year and others didn't, so there's a little bit of fluctuation there. The teams that didn't spend all of their investment funds will have more relative to others, but by and large, there's not much change there. There's also not a lot of change in the investment pledge from last year to the church. It's about $50 more than last year, so next year's pledge to the church is going to be $14,901. So again, not much change. We meet with our financial advisor, Robinson Smith Wealth Advisors, a couple of times a year, and they recommend any rebalancing that needs to happen based on what the market is doing, as well as to keep within our fixed income and equity balance, percentage balance that we maintain per our investment standards. And we met with them, and no large changes last year. I think that the biggest change for next year is as a result of the budgeting process for the church and talking to the treasurer and the teams that work on the budget. We're going to be moving our investment year from January 1st to December 31st. We're going to be shifting that this year, and it's going to actually be October 1st to September 30th. And what that's going to allow us to do is we can close our books on September 30th, and we have time to be able to figure out what legacy interest would be available for teams in the following year while they're going through the budgeting process, so that they can know what they're going to have for legacy funds, and that would feed into the budget process in the fall, as opposed to having to wait until early January and having teams find that out really after they've already gone through their budgeting process. So that is a change. So we're going to have a 9-month year this year, which will be a little bit tricky, but I know that Lynn's been talking with Charlie about that and informing our team about how we're gonna do that. So that's really what I have to report. And we do have a full report, as well as our balances in the annual report. Are there any questions? Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I need to get a motion to approve both the investments reports and the finance reports. Second? All in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay. Okay, now it's my turn to talk. I'm going to give you a very brief annual report from the council. And so, just to let you know, it's been an interesting year, 2024. I was elected moderator, and then I disappeared for 3 months. And I think that was the smoothest that things ran while I was gone. So, what did we do? We did some stuff, we spent some money, and we ate some food. Any questions? What we did really, I'll just very briefly, we were, I think one of the main focuses we had for 2024 and going forward is we recognize that we need to fix the building, and not just the church, but also the parsonage. And it is something that we could have kicked the can down the road another 12 to 18 or 24 months, but the council decided and met, and we decided we should really try and start eating this elephant one bite at a time, and that's what we've done. It started off as we need to fix the building, but we hired a consultant who was very good in asking me the questions about, well, what else does the church want? And so it was important for us to, and she said, you have the attention of the congregation, of you folks, so it's important that we ask other questions about what we want to do. And so we did. And I think some of you remember that we took some time during a service in the summer. We had dinners talking about what we want to do, what's the vision for this church, where the challenges are. And then we also had some in-depth interviews. And what we got back was very consistent from the congregation, which was, first, you want to fix the building, which is good. It's not like it's going to fall over tomorrow, but we do have some updates and some repairs we need to make on it. It's been 20 plus years since it was rebuilt, and we are living in Maine, so that's not surprising. The other, the other thing that you guys told us was, we want to do more. We want to do more outreach and more involvement within the church and within the community. And how do we do this? How do we do this without burning out the existing staff? And so part of this adventure that we're going forward, is to try and sort out what we want to do and what are the tactical things that we can do about it. Now, I'm being a little bit vague. We had a lot of good feedback from our consultant who kind of packaged it for the council, and we're going to be giving you that information going through 2025. There is no set deadline on when we want to kick this campaign. It's more than a capital campaign right now because we're talking about not just fixing the building, but potentially addressing some staffing issues. So this campaign will, it's evolving, and I'm going to be providing you a lot more information throughout the year of 2025, but just understand that this is kind of what we did. That was my year of 2024. I do want to take just a few moments to recognize the Christian ed as well as the music. They did a great job. And so every time I came to service on Sunday, I heard great music and I saw great enthusiasm with Christian education. And that was really, to me, that was really uplifting. And also I want to recognize the teams. Teams, I was expecting as moderator to get involved with some of the teams in some of the issues, but I didn't, which is good, which assumes either you didn't come to me, which is one way to go, or situations that may have come up, they were resolved, and you didn't, the less you see of me, the better in most cases. So it was a successful year in that way. And then I just want to touch on stewardship. Our stewardship, we had a successful campaign. We saw the number of families pledging increase. We also saw our dollars increasing, which is very encouraging. And I want to say a special thanks to those folks who pledge and don't pledge. If you're just giving on a Sunday morning, I thank you, and I ask you to continue. My final comments here is, there's words that I always think of when I think about this church. I've been a member now for 4 years. Fellowship, prayer, community, love, and faith. Those are powerful words. And they reflect what I see every time I come into the church for a service, for a dinner, for a meeting, for an event. And I see a commitment in a time when others are turning away, and we're living in a very contentious time. But I see that commitment from this congregation. And if someone asked me what was my, biggest success in 2024, I didn't screw that up. So thank you. Charlie's now going to come up and talk about the budget. Yes. Yeah, the plan is the consultants send us a report, and the plan is early in the spring, and we're still trying to sort out how we want to frame this in terms of putting together a team. So we will start sharing that report when we feel like we're further down the road. Yeah, I think Charlie can cover the... Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
So the budget summary, I could go through and bore everyone with going line by line, but I'll just kind of hit the high points, and then I have a couple of extra points I kind of want to call out. So I think on the budget summary, we'll go into a little bit of the kind of makeup of the income, but income's up 11% for the budget over last year's budget. And then expenses are down 4.7, but again, we get into that whole $60,000 for the insurance, and really our expenses are up about 5%. So 11% up on income, 5% up on expenses, that's good. That's really good. Gives us a little bit of a surplus and a little bit of breathing room. So on pledges, our pledge amount for 2025 is $317,000. For 2024, in the budget, it was $277,000. So it's up 14.4% on the pledges. So income makes up more than just pledges, but 14.4%, $40,000 change, an increase in the amount pledged. One of the things as a church treasurer that just keeps you up at night is, okay, so people are really generous in December and they pledge a ton, and then reality sets in the next year, maybe not. So I did a quick analysis, and we're over 99% of the pledges that were made were actually realized. So I don't have to take a haircut, and for that I thank everyone who pledges and fulfills the pledge. So on the families that pledged last year and pledged this year, we had 44 pledge units, and I don't mean to devolve people into units, but I am a finance guy. So there were 44 pledge units that increased, 55 that stayed the same, and 12 that decreased in pledged year over year. So the change was about $7,500 going up, but that's on a base of 266. So the percentage is somewhere just shy of 3% increase on those who pledged both years in total. Then in change status, people who did not pledge last year but pledged this year, there were 28, and it represents about 51,000 additional dollars. And then of those that did pledge last year but didn't pledge this year, we lost close to 20,000. So there's a pickup there of about 30,000. The one thing also that is very difficult is when people, there's an interplay between pledging and loose cash and checks. So sometimes people stop pledging, but they give as much just kind of without pledging, or vice versa. So I kept the budgeted loose cash and checks pretty conservative, but the pledges went up. So I think that is going to help with our income side of the equation. On the expenses, I don't want to go line by line unless there are specific questions, but ultimately, I think it's worth calling out that the cost structure of the church, it often gets buried and people get very focused on the mission, totally reasonable, and that's kind of what we're here for. But at the end of the day, it's sometimes eye-opening when it's called out that 75% of our budget goes to keeping the lights on and the staff paid. And if we want to increase mission, we ultimately need to go above and beyond. Once you cover those costs, every incremental dollar can go to mission or programs. So it's just worth remembering that when we get into budget discussions or campaigns or anything, it's kind of an expensive building, and that's without a mortgage. So it's, and also without a dedicated fund for repairs, a large one. We've got some funds that are kind of set aside for building, but it's not like a huge kind of really almost catastrophic level fund. So we do need to kind of rebuild the building on the parts that need improvement and hopefully set up a little fund on the side. So back to the overall budget summary, we basically, last year we had a deficit of 47,000. This year we have a surplus, or no, I'm sorry, we're right $419,000 deficit, which I'm going to call zero. So that's kind of the punchline of the whole budget. We're spending 594,000, or we're bringing in 594,000, and we are spending 555,000. So I think rather than me do kind of talk about each individual number and put everyone to sleep, I will ask, are there any questions? Yes. I believe what happened is that ultimately the repairs have mostly been made, and the insurance funds covered that part of it that was spent on repairs. So it's net zero going forward. I hope that was articulate enough. Yep.
Are any of the repairs to the building possibly large enough to impact regular church service?
No. No, and we had a really good discussion at council about how, the building is not particularly exciting for people, but the way we use it is exciting for people. So it does provide a wonderful place for the congregation to assemble, but also some of our mission work is in making a public space for people who need to use it and bringing people from the outside community in. So there is an element of mission to it, and it's more than just, four walls and a roof.
I don't know if this is the right segment for this question, but I've been seeing a lot of flyers for solar, adding solar, and that the state is willing to help people put those up. Would we qualify for that?
That is a question for the campaign, and we're considering it. Yes. I believe we've even done feasibility studies and have a kind of bigger than a bread box type of estimate for how much it would cost.
It's an age thing?
I don't say everything, so.
What? What did he say? I don't say everything. Thank you. What percentage of the intake of money takes care of the people that attend church? And what percent is for people outside of the church?
We haven't specifically broken it down that way, so I can estimate off the top of my head, and a lot of that includes what you consider the building use. So the staff in the building are about 75% of our budget. How much is outward facing versus inward facing? I could make up a number, but I don't know for sure, and I'm not sure that's a tracked number. I think probably if you had to estimate, then I would probably say 75% is internal, 25% external, but I'm making that up on the fly. Smells right? Somewhere there.
The income for Spurwink, rental is almost doubling this year.
Isn't that cool?
Can you just speak to that?
Yes, thank you. So we had a proposal from the Saco Public Schools that they wanted to come in and rent a few rooms during a transition period for them. We went back and examined that, looked at the kind of pros and cons of it, and went back to Spurwink and said, they're looking at possibly doing this. And Spurwink said, we would really rather not have anyone else down there. We are pretty below market, so we use that as an opportunity to go back and say, so you can have the whole space, but would you be willing to pay a little bit more? And they said yes. So we took advantage of that and raised that. They were very comfortable with it. They understand that even with the new rate, they're under market and can't do better. So all in all, it's a win-win. Any other questions, answers, jokes, philosophies, anything? Excellent. If anyone does think of anything, I'm not always 24-hour response, but I will get back if you email me with any questions, and I'm happy to meet with people and walk through whatever. Thank you.
He gets applause. All right. Yeah, he did earn it. All right, I need a motion to approve the financial reports. Second? All in favor? Thank you. I also need a motion to approve the investments reports. Second? All in favor? Very good. And I think also the budget, right? I also need a motion to approve the 2025 budget. Second? Approved? Any questions? We are in the end run, only about 2 or 3 more hours, folks. Finally, I get applause. Yeah. I do have a procedural question in terms of the officers. Do I have to read the names, or I do? Okay, so for the council, I'm going to read the names of the council members for the electing the council officers for 2025. So they are Tom Kircher, Ryan Heller, Soren Anderson, Doug McCrae, Sue Burgess, Charlie Carter, Vanessa Johnson, Marianne Cook, Eric Steva, and Jamie Beals, and myself. So I need a motion to approve the slate of officers for 2025. Second? All in favor? Any opposed? It has passed. Okay, so the final thing is I need to make sure we ratify all actions since our last annual meeting. And we do this because it ensures that nobody can go back and claim that what we did was inaccurate or incorrect. So once we approve, there's no changing what we've done, so now is the time to speak up if you feel differently. We're about to approve everything we did. I will read this passage from the bylaws, and then we'll have a motion to approve. So the church body of First Parish Congregation Church, United Church of Christ, Saco, Maine, resolves that all actions taken by the church body, church council, ministries, teams, task force groups, and other organizations of the church thereof, and any officers of this corporation on behalf of this corporation since the last annual meeting are ratified, confirmed, and approved in all respects. Motion to approve? Second? All in favor? Thank you. And lastly, I'm going to ask Scott to close us since he didn't, by my mistake, open us. But I thank you for sticking around, folks.
Are you clapping for Tim or me? Who wants to put on my clothes? And the hair. I know since this group over here is really excited about 2 or 3 more hours, I did want to also just offer my appreciation to Tim and to Charlie and to Tom and the members of the council, and also point out that when we met to have our budget meeting, it was such a pleasure that every request from the teams for their budget for this year was approved. We didn't cut anybody. And so to sit there in a meeting and talk about a budget that has a level funded budget was such a blessing. And to be able to say to all the teams, yep, your requests are approved. That was wonderful. And so I thank you all for that, for your generosity. And as I mentioned a couple weeks ago in my weekly greeting, it does strike me that as we mark this year, we are a quarter of a way through this century, and it seems like one of those milestone moments. And so I'm glad that we've been doing this visioning project as we embark on this campaign, because it gives us a chance to not only look back, but also to look forward, and what are those things that we're going to do as a church family, as a community going forward. And so I'm looking forward so much to all of that. And so I just want to thank you all. Now let us let us enter into the spirit of prayer. Gracious and loving God, we thank you. We thank you for your spirit that fills this place. We thank you for your spirit that draws us together and draws us closer to you. We thank you for your spirit that calls us to love without restriction, without reservation, and to serve extravagantly. We thank you for the mission that you have placed upon us, the call that you have placed upon us, to be your church, to be your body, to be your heart and your soul here in the world. Be with us as we go forward. Guide us and direct us and nurture us and strengthen us, inspire us, and dance with us as we do your will here on earth. We offer all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. And I know that you're all waiting for the motion to adjourn. I just want to be one last thing. Those of you who are going to stick around and help set up, thank you, thank you, thank you. And just an FYI, there are several platters of food that are left over from Sandy Winship's funeral on Saturday, so there will be additional food available to fill your stomachs as you work this afternoon. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor? Go home.